Welcome back. It's that time again of the month to finally get to my April wrap-up, and this was about a week later than I wanted to get this out, but that is okay because here we go. Here's everything that I read in April. So starting off in April, I went with Assassin's Apprentice. Now this was my reread, and honestly one of the first rereads that I've done in a very long time because I wanted to get back into Robin Hobb's Farseer trilogy and the Realm of the Elderlings overall. Like I said, you can watch my review here. I genuinely loved this reread. I love this book a lot. Fitz is a tragic and depressing character, but written so wonderfully well. The world building necessarily isn't the strong point of this series so far, but the characters are absolutely the focal point, and Robin Hobb knocks that out of the park, honestly. And the plot became pretty interesting towards the second half of the book, and I honestly really enjoyed the whole training montage or this time around, where you really see Fitz grow as an assassin's apprentice and learn how to kill people and learn about different poisons and antidotes and how to blend in with people around him and get in the good graces of those around him to sort of spy on people. Just everything was really well done. It's setting up beautifully for book 2, which I hear is absolutely fantastic. Everybody says, 1, I'm going to love it, and 2, I'm going to cry. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm reading Royal Assassin here this month after I finish up Leviathan Weeks. Second up, I read Path of Daggers, which you can see that review here as well. And that was the first time in the Wheel of Time where I genuinely disliked a book, which is good in the sense that I got that far into the series before I hated a book. But Path of Daggers was just, okay, I don't want to say hated it. It was just really boring. It was sort of meandering. It was a short Wheel of Time book. It was only about 600 pages. That's still too long of a book for what was in it. Honestly, I feel like this book could have been split into a few different parts and put in other books, or mostly into A Crown of Swords, or maybe even split it into Winter's Heart. I don't know. It just, for what happened, it was too long of a book. Not that much went on. The plot didn't really move forward that much. Yeah, there's some cool character moments, but the prologue was really long. Just everything was just long. I felt very drawn out. Some of the POV chapters were entirely too long and didn't really go anywhere, in my opinion. And I wasn't that invested in the characters that we followed for a lot of this one. And that's just why I didn't really love it. Again, I do have that review up on the channel. It's probably my shortest review because I didn't have a lot to say about it. But I am currently reading Winter's Heart. I'm enjoying it a little bit more than Path of Daggers. It's still suffering from the same, not a whole lot of movement or plot progression is happening. But I am told that at least the last chapter is fantastic, so we'll see when I get there. Next up, though, I did read The Blackest Heart, which is book 2 of the 5 Warrior Angels trilogy by Brian Lee Durfee, and I have that review on the channel as well. That book was absolutely fantastic. It basically was better in every conceivable way from what I thought about The Forgetting Moon, which I really, really enjoyed The Forgetting Moon. I absolutely love The Blackest Heart, and I can't wait for The Lonesome Crown. Sometime next year, I believe it's going to be. But this series is just so good. This is excellent epic fantasy. The characters are well done. It's violent. It's probably some of the best religion that I've seen written in a book. And that's also from the perspective of how religion can be used and abused to sort of control the mentality of the people around them. It's an entire thing throughout the plot where you see religion sort of in the eyes of several different people and how they interpret it and whether they believe in prophecy or not and how they use that to their own profit and success. And a lot of people are turning away from the religion of this world because it's being abused in the way that it is, and a lot of it seems like it's kind of a facade. So just everything is really well done in these books. They're super meaty, they're dense, they're full of description and heavy prose at times. Heavy prose, does that make sense? It's like, I like to always say that it's sort of between like a John Gwynne and a Robert Jordan, where I feel like the dense parts are more interesting than Robert Jordan's dense description parts. And he does action really well that sort of reminds me of John Gwynne. I don't think he does it quite as well as John Gwynne, but he makes up for it in other areas that he does better. So it's just a really good blend of all these different styles, and I feel like his writing is actually unique, and I genuinely really, really love these books. So read them. They're fantastic. I also finished up the First Law trilogy with Last Argument of Kings. That review is here as well. And that was the best book of the series, in my opinion. Well, trilogy, in my opinion. It hit on all the notes of the action. The character moments were fantastic. I loved the conclusion of most of the character arcs. Jazal's story was fantastic. Glocta's story is great. And he's such a piece of shit. It's awesome. Logan and just like his struggles with trying to be better in the world not allowing it to happen, and him just sort of being held hostage by the Bloody Nine side of him at times, and just, I don't know, just the character work is fantastic in Abercrombie's novels. Where my first, not complaints, but like expectations didn't meet reality of how dark and like disgusting and violent some of these books would get, I got it all here. This book is violent as hell, and it had fantastic action scenes. Again, The Circle was one of the best chapters in the entire trilogy that I read. I love the dialogue. Stephen Pacey's audio narration is fantastic. I love the way that he sort of brings the characters to life. I just love the first Law so far, even just from the trilogy, and I really want to read more of it. I do have Best Served Cold, A Little Hatred, and Trouble with Peace up there, so I do plan on reading all the standalones and then all of the Age of Madness. I don't know when I'm going to start that yet, probably in the next month or two, but that will be on the channel here shortly, so keep an eye out for that for sure. And those were the main 4 books that I had on my TBR. Like I said, I'm shooting for 4 books on my month-to-month basis, but that's sort of because, one, I don't want to dedicate myself to reading 6-7 books a month and not make it. So I'm doing 4, so it's a little bit more manageable, and some of these are longer. Like the Blackest Heart was pretty huge. Path of Daggers was luckily short, but a lot of the Wheel of Time books are not. But I had a couple of days left, so I was deciding between, do I want to do some sci-fi or Dresden? Dresden, of course, won. And I went ahead and read Deadbeat. And I burned through that book in about 2.5 days. And I loved it. It was not my favorite Dresden Files book. I do have this review on my channel, as well as Proven Guilty, that I'm about to talk about. But I liked it a lot, and there were tons of great things in it. Death Masks was still my number 1 spot, but Deadbeat was a close number 2. Until I read Proven Guilty, which I finished in about 3 days. So I wrapped up April with 2 back-to-back Dresden Files books. One of the better decisions that I've made this year. Proven Guilty was far and away my favorite book of the Dresden Files so far, and I am absolutely going to find time to read probably White Knight at least this month now as well. And I'm just going to keep feeding in Dresden Files books where and when I can. I am starting to read a couple different series, like I'm starting The Expanse, I started Revelation Space, I'm going to start Sun Eater here shortly, so I'm mixing in a lot more sci-fi, but I am definitely not going to let Dresden fall to the wayside. I'm going to continue that because I absolutely adore these books. Like I said, most of these have been a 5 out of 5 for me. The series has been sort of up and down for me, but like the down has been like a good book, and the up has been like a great book. So I really love Stormfront. And then Full Moon was like a step down. And then I really love Grave Peril. And then Summer Night was a step down for me. A lot of people love it. And then I really, really love Death Masks. And then Blood Rights was a step down. And then I liked Deadbeat. And then I loved Proven Guilty. And now I think I'm going to love everything else. It's going to be like up here. You can't even see it. It's so good. It's up here. But that actually wraps up what I read in April. So I ended up reading 6 books, which is more than I expected to, but those Dresden Files just read so easily. They're so quick. And I'm doing Wheel of Time at least until I get to probably Beyond the Slog. I'm going to continue doing it almost entirely on audiobook, just because the really, really dense moments, reading it is too much of a hassle, honestly, and I'd rather just listen to it. I don't feel like I'm missing a ton of stuff within the slog. But yeah, I'm hopefully getting to the light at the end of the tunnel. I have to get through Winter's Heart, and then it's going to end on a high note, and then I'm going to have to slog through Crossroads of Twilight, and then I'll get to the good stuff. So that's going to wrap up my April. My May has already been going very well. I just finished up Revelation Space, book 1 of that series, and I am making my way through Leviathan Wakes, which I already love. I'm only 5 chapters in, and it is just hitting on every note for me so far, and I'm about 400 pages into Winter's Heart. So May is going very, very well so far. So like and subscribe. As always, guys, do hit up Patreon if you want to support the channel financially. And what I do here, that's always optional, but always appreciated. And that certainly helps my book buying budget. So I greatly, greatly appreciate anybody willing to give me money to make videos for YouTube. It's super cool. Definitely jump in Discord though, or leave me a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on anything I'm reading, anything you're reading. Do you like or hate anything that I read? recently. Should I do more read-alongs? I think I'm going to. I'm going to continue the First Law at some point. Definitely, though, if you want to join Patreon, we are starting our Expanse read-along, which is why I'm reading Leviathan Wakes right now. So definitely tune in for that, and there will be plenty of sci-fi coverage coming on the channel in the near future. But until next time, guys, keep reading.